Hello, and welcome to your weekly episode on Shadow Space. If you are on a healing journey, a self discovery journey, or perhaps just into personal and self development, you have definitely found your show. On this show, we like to take deep dives and explore what it means to do the shadow work and also talk about the hidden aspects of our personalities, the parts we often keep buried for reasons that may be known or unknown to us. Kind of juicy, right? Well, I invite you to stick around and find out what this is all about. But in the meantime, I'd like to formally introduce myself. My name is Laura Brown. I am your host, and I am a certified trauma informed coach, as well as a breathing and meditation coach. Shadow Space was inspired by my own personal struggles through my healing journey that I've been on for a number of years, that I'm still very much on, and all of the discoveries I've made about myself. Listen, some were great, others, not so much. But I've learned the value of integrating every bit and part of these aspects of myself by working through the shadow. So I wanted to create a platform where we can bring these topics to the light, no pun intended, but kind of, and really talk about these often perceived weaknesses, insecurities, unconscious patterns, behaviors, and what have you that can sometimes hinder us and keep us stuck in life. For anyone who's been on this journey, this path can be very difficult to navigate and sometimes isolating and really lonely. This is how I felt most of my journey. So I wanted to build a sense of community where we can come together and hopefully openly share, support, and empower one another. But most importantly, also learn and feel inspired by each other. That's really the purpose of my show, is to really help you understand that you are not alone and that you are capable of more than you can ever imagine, and nothing is inherently wrong with you, despite what your mind, thoughts, and beliefs may suggest. Okay? So I hope you guys continue to tune in often, and I hope you guys continue to find inspiration through my journey. And I'm also curious about yours, so please do share with me as well. All right? All right, let's dive into today's episode. But before we do that, I did promise you guys last week that I was going to share a bonus show with you guys on self-discovery. And somehow my data all got mixed up and I haven't been able to figure it out. So I want to start out by apologizing to you all again. I feel like I'm on an endless apology tour, but it is, it's worth it because I really appreciate all of you guys and all of your support. And thank you for your patience as I continue to figure out my life in these past few months. It's just been so busy, so crazy, but I really appreciate you guys for bearing with me. So I promise I will get my act together, and hopefully by next week you guys will have that show, and it will be on self-discovery. Okay? All right, so let's dive into today's topic. So today I wanted to talk a little bit about self-empowerment because I have been having discussions with people recently on self-empowerment and just, the power of realizing our own inner power. And so I want to dive into that topic with you guys and also share a couple of examples and things I've experienced as it relates to this topic, and also share some tools with you guys that can be helpful to you guys at the end of the show. All right. So when I think about self-empowerment, especially as it relates to the shadow, I think that has been the most empowering thing I have experienced in my life thus far, is really the process of understanding myself on a deeper level and also understanding, right, all of these traits and layers and just different depths that we have as human beings, and understanding that we have a choice. We always have a choice. Or I should say, we have many, many choices as it relates to the matter of our life. And so when I think about self empowerment, I think about it in that way. It's really just understanding that at any given moment in your life, if you find yourself in a place where you're not happy, or you might feel stuck, or you're in a place of just not really seeing things clearly, you do have a choice, right? Because I think when we think about self empowerment, at least the way I thought about it before, was that, when you find yourself in a challenging position, and it could be any number of things, it could be your personal life, it could be your professional life, it could be anything. If you find yourself in a challenging position, often the thought process that ensues from that is that you are stuck or that you don't have a way forward. And so, what self empowerment truly, truly is the process of of intentionally taking charge of your life and making positive decisions. So, for example, if we were talking about making mistakes, right? The way you can empower yourself with making mistakes is to understand that mistakes are necessary. They're part of your growth and they're part of your experience. Without the mistakes that you made, you probably wouldn't be where you are today. And as easy as that may sound, it can be very difficult to perceive mistakes in that way, because I too, at one point in my life, I looked at every mistake as just something that was against me, that was working against me, instead of seeing it as, wow, okay, how can I detach my emotional narrative from this and see it for what it is? Because in order to succeed, gosh, you have to fail. You have to fail many, many times in order to even appreciate success. Otherwise, there is no special value to it, right? And that actually may sound harsh, but it's true. I've experienced it in so many facets of my life. As you guys know, I've, left my corporate career of almost 15 years to do this. So pray for me every day, please, that I am on the right path. I know that I am on the right path, but hey, there are days where I'm like everybody else, where I question myself, where I doubt myself, where I don't know, I don't feel like I know what I'm doing. That's all part of the process, right? But feeling self-empowered is knowing that you have options, that you're not stuck, and that you can always shift your perspective from things that may not be going seemingly well in your life. I don't know if that makes sense, but like I was saying with mistakes, for example, instead of dwelling on the mistake and beating yourself up and just saying, hey, I feel terrible, I shouldn't have done this, I shouldn't have done that, and all the shoulds and shouldn'ts, you can see it for what it is, as a learning experience. Because without the mistake, moving forward, if you're presented with a similar scenario, you may not know how to act or to react or to manage it, right? So you needed to make that mistake and then take it in a positive way and know that you are empowered to make different decisions going forward. So again, self-empowerment also involves building self-trust, which is something I've talked about in my previous episodes. Building that self-trust is so important. It's so important because if you don't have trust in yourself, then yes, you might doubt yourself and continue to do that and continue to live in that space forever, where you may not see a way out, where all you're focused on is the problems, the issues, right? You don't see the way out, right? And so building self-trust is so important because it can help you feel more confident and focused to navigate life's challenges, with really that self-empowerment that you have now gained within yourself, and with purpose. Like, for example, if you look at people who seem like they're self-empowered, because I don't know that you can really identify a self-empowered person, but there are people out here who say there are self-empowered people. And I always laugh at those things because I'm like, how can you pick out a self-empowered person? I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a magic formula out there that I'm unaware of, but in my opinion, I feel like it's us who make that narrative, right? When we see people who feel self-empowered, for example, these people are usually always motivated to learn. They're always driven. They're always, looking to achieve, and they understand both their strengths and weaknesses. So that's also very key in knowing how to feel self-empowered. Now, I pause here because I just thought about something. I thought about feeling self-empowered versus being self-empowered. To me, the way I've experienced self-empowerment, I think it's more so a feeling that over time you perhaps embody and turn into a state of being. Okay, so I'm going to say that one more time. So, feeling self-empowered, I think sometimes we feel a little more self-empowered in certain situations in our life when we feel a little more confident and we feel like we know what we're doing, like we have a clear direction, that we know what we're doing. Like we feel like we're in charge and that we trust ourselves to make the decisions that we're making and to travel the road that we're traveling, right? So I think for me, in that way, it's more like a feeling. You feel empowered. You feel that sense of self-empowerment. Whereas I think being self-empowered comes along with that over time, right? Because the more you do this, right, the more you allow yourself to take charge of your life and make these changes in a positive direction, the more you begin to trust yourself naturally. There is no more questioning or overthinking or, doubting yourself. It might be present, but very minimally. So then over time, you embody the sense of feeling empowered. So then you appear that way to others. And I think maybe that's what people refer to when they say self-empowered people. It's perhaps the people who just embody this state of being because they trust themselves and they've worked on themselves enough where they understand their strengths and they understand their weaknesses, because both things are very important for our success. We can't just focus on the good things, right? All the good things and the qualities and, all the positive things that we want other people to see about us. We also have to learn about our weaknesses or perceived weaknesses as in the shadow context. As I often talk about, it's often a perceived weakness that we can then turn into an opportunity for growth, right? And perhaps even for wisdom, because we learn from our so-called negative traits. And then we also learn from what we perceive to be our flaws. Because let me tell you, there's always a hidden gift in those areas of who we are, of ourselves. There's always a hidden gift. There's always a hidden blessing in our perceived flaws. Okay? So back to what we were talking about, that personal empowerment. When you reflect back on your life and you feel like there was a time in your life where you were taking control of your own life, you were making positive decisions based on what you want, you could perhaps see that it might have even impacted you positively as it relates to your self-esteem, your self-confidence, right? And so I was looking this up earlier before my show because I was curious about just the different perspectives on true empowerment. So I really like this this quote I saw. I don't know if it's a quote or just I think I saw it on a website, but it basically said that true empowerment comes when you convert intention into action. So true empowerment comes when you convert intention into action. And I really love that. I really love that because I could see in my life where that was true for me in so many occasions where I had some intentions, right? And the intention was great. I had this vision and but I never executed it. And what I'm referring to is my podcast specifically. I had the intention to start a podcast for quite a few years, but I never converted it into action. I never took the initiative to even do it or to even research or to even, to even make any strides in that direction. So it was always a dream. It was always an intention. It was always something that I thought I would love, but I didn't know I would love it until I put it into action. And I'm not suggesting that I know everything about podcasting because let me tell you, it's been a journey. As with everything in my life, it seems it's been a journey. Podcasting has been a journey, and maybe I'll start a podcast about podcasting one day. I will do that. I'll probably do that because I think that would be actually fun. It would just let people in on all the things that go on with podcasting. And I'm not knocking it. It's a beautiful thing when you enjoy it. I love podcasting. I love it, love it, love it so much. It is such a passion for me. But there's a lot of work. There's a lot of work. Let's keep it real, and I'm a one-woman show. So I am still doing all of the things, right? All the things that I need to do to get myself where I need to be and to reach, you guys, my beautiful listeners. So, again, it's been a dream for many years that I'm now very proud to say that I'm doing. But this has actually given me a true sense of feeling empowered that, hey, I may not have all the answers and I may not know all the things that I'm doing right now, which I don't. But I'm willing to learn and I'm willing to try. I'm willing to go after what I've always wanted. And I think that alone in itself gives you that sense of true empowerment. So I definitely love what they said there about true empowerment comes when you convert intention into action, right? And so I think we can all learn a few things about that because there are so many things that we have in mind in our life that sometimes we just feel like we don't have choices or we don't have options or we don't have a way to get to those things. And we always do. There's always a way. There's always a way. So when I talk to people who feel stuck, because this is the most disempowering thing. With empowerment also comes disempowerment. And I'm going to share one thing that I experienced with my mentor, the man I like to call my mentor, who I've never met, but Dr. Michael B. Beckwith, whom I will meet one day, whom I absolutely adore, who has been so instrumental in my life, and he has no idea, but I plan on telling him this face to face one day. So I'm going to save this show and hopefully play it back to him when I meet him one day. I'm manifesting. Anyway, so when I took his life visioning course, he shared some thoughts around empowerment and disempowerment. And I really loved what he shared with us in that course. One of the things he said was that you have to actively get good at asking yourself empowering questions. Because by law, the universe will respond to your questions. And he gave this, for example. He said, For example, if you are in the habit of always asking what's wrong in your life, like you're always saying, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? Why am I not getting this right? What's wrong? He says, by law, the universe responds to that. And in the way it responds, it gives you more of what's wrong. Instead of giving you the solution, because that's probably what you're looking for by asking that question, right? That's what we're all intending anyway. We want the solution, but we're asking disempowering questions. So therefore, that becomes an energetic frequency match with the universe. And then what it reflects back to us in our life is more of that what's wrong. So then instead of you getting solutions, you continue to get problems. And that really kind of opened my eyes to so much when he shared that, because I was like, oh my God. And that is also very much related to our victim mindset, right? To our victimhood, where we're always feeling like we are a victim of our own circumstances, a victim of our own life. So when he shared that, I was like, wow, that is so enlightening and that is so true. But the other thing he shared was you have to get good at asking empowering questions, because again, the universe doesn't really care about what you want. It just matches your frequency. So when you get good at asking empowering questions, such as, what is trying to emerge out of my life in this moment? What am I here to learn in this moment? What good is trying to unfold in my life? Well, these are somewhat empowering questions that lead you to gain more, either a perspective or to see the solutions, and good things start to happen and answers start to reveal themselves, or you feel guided in a direction. You know, all of a sudden, all of these impossibilities become possibilities. So I wanted to share that because that really relates to what we're talking about here with empowerment and disempowerment, and just learning that you are self-empowered at any given point in your life. Because I think the misconception is that when we feel stuck, right, where we feel like we don't see the way out, we feel like that's it, we're stuck. This is where we're meant to be. We're not going anywhere else. There are no other paths. There are no other directions. There are no other possibilities. That's it. Here's where we are, and this is where we die. I feel like a lot of us live in the space where we just don't see anything, you know, where that is, gosh, my God, what an illusion, because we live in an infinite world of possibilities. There's always a way, there's always a direction, there's always, you know, a different avenue. There's always a choice we can make that can change our entire life. One choice that we make differently can change the entire trajectory of our life. Yeah, I feel anyway, because I've seen it happen with me. So I really speak from experience, but of course, you hear this said all the time, and there are endless books out there and people who talk about this. There's thousands and millions of quotes about our choices. And yes, every single day, we have a choice. We can continue to repeat the same choices that we made and that we continue to make that are not helping us, that are keeping us where we are. And we can continue to adopt the same mindset and never change, right? And never see anything happen, never feel like we're evolving, and continue to perpetuate that type of life. Or we can say, wow, I can make a different choice. I can do something differently. You know, I can look this direction. I can ask somebody. I can reach out. I can research. I can, endless ways to do things, right? And so that sense of self-empowerment is accessible to all of us. We just have to know that it's there. And we have to continue to practice these steps every single day so we can be guided in that embodiment of self empowerment where we just become those self empowered people. The self empowered people. I don't know. But you guys get the gist. You know what I'm trying to say. Yes. So I think the more you understand your abilities and the endless possibilities available to you, the more you can see yourself moving in a direction of that embodiment. And so I want to share a quick story about my give you guys a quick example of something that I did for myself recently that I've never done. I always talk about mentorship, which I think is so important. I've always wanted a mentor. I have virtual mentors, imaginary mentors, and people who I look up to, right? That I feel inspired by. But I'd never actually taken the time to research about acquiring a mentor. And so recently I did. And I had found a service in my area that specializes in mentoring businesses that are starting out. And so I took the initiative and reached out and shared a little bit about my business and my coaching services and just the direction of my business and what my dreams are and what my goals are and what my visions are. And I wanted to have somebody that can help support me on this path. And I just recently, as recently as 2 days ago, I had a mentor reach out to me, and he was a match to what I was looking for. And we have set up a call, right, to get to meet each other and then, work through the process. But I'm so elated. I'm so excited because this is something I've wanted to do for so long. And I always didn't know where to start and who to talk to. But it really came to me in just conversations with somebody that I am working with who kind of gave me the idea. And I was like, okay, let me dive in. Let me do a little research because I'm always about research and I love to dive in and do things like that. And so I discovered that that was a possibility for me. So I was like, wow, just that one step, right? That it took for me to do that. And now I am going to be meeting with somebody. And that is just the most exciting thing because I want the support. I need the support. I welcome the support. So yeah, I'm super excited. But again, it just made me feel so empowered because I'm like, wow, okay, so I can start talking to somebody who's had expertise and experience in the space and hopefully help guide me or just tell me what I need to do more of, or, give me constructive feedback or what have you, or connect me with someone else. You never know where these things lead, right? But again, it's a sense of feeling self-empowered that I can take that initiative. I didn't have to wait for somebody to do that. Gosh, I could have waited my whole life. And yes, it might have happened along the way because I believe in synchronicity and, things just happening when they're meant to happen in divine timing and divine orchestration. I believe in all that. But gosh, how long was it going to take for me to get there? And so I think when we're talking about the mindset, I think this is where most of us live. We get stuck there. We feel a blockage and we don't see a way out. So for me, I was like, well, I'm open to it. I want this. And so again, I was able to do that. And that's just something I wanted to share with you guys because it's happened recently and it was something that just gave me such a good sense of feeling empowered that now I can talk to somebody, right, who can help me. So same thing applies to everything in our life. Same rule. We have choices. We can take initiative. We can set intentions. We can reach out. We can make a choice. The possibilities endless. Okay? All right. So I wanted to share also some steps maybe for you guys if you're interested in just how do you start to feel self-empowered, because guess what? I think we all need more self-empowerment in our life. But I think the first thing to do, in my perspective anyway, is to continue to develop your positive attitude. Continue to develop that sense of positivity and optimism, right? Because again, like I said, in just my conversation with somebody whom I work with, I realized that, oh my gosh, there are so many possibilities for me. There's so many avenues, so many ways. So continue to work on that positive attitude and just be optimistic and be open, right? And the other thing for me is really setting goals, setting some reasonable goals. In my corporate life, we used to call them SMART goals, strategic. Let's see if I can remember this. Strategic, measurable, attainable. What's the R? Reasonable and time sensitive. Okay, don't quote me on that. Look it up for yourself, but it's SMART goals. And so you can set goals for yourself, right? And you can surround yourself with positive people, right? Positive people who can empower you, like looking for a mentor, looking for a guide, or looking for a coach, or looking for, shameless plug here, looking for a trusted friend, whatever. Just, surround yourself with people who can uplift you and help guide you and keep you on that track, right? And gosh, I talked about this in all my previous shows, but we can never have enough positive self-talk, right? We can never practice enough self-care. Those two things I think are so crucial to feeling like you have that sense, even if you don't feel empowered, but you have that sense of self-empowerment, right? And so the other thing I would say to that is really stay focused and continue to create a step-by-step, action step for yourself, and stay on that track, and don't feel discouraged and don't feel stuck. Never feel like you're stuck. Never feel like you're stuck, okay? So if you've taken nothing from this show today or my podcast today, just don't feel like you're stuck, because that is such a lie. Nobody's ever stuck. We're only stuck in our minds, in the stories and narratives we've created. But there's always a way. There's always a way. There's always a way. All right, guys? Okay, so with all that being said, that is it for today's show. I hope you guys enjoyed it thoroughly. And if you do, as always, your support is tremendously appreciated. Please continue to rate the show on all the platforms and continue to connect with me as well on my social media. I am on IG at Shadow Space Healing, TikTok, Shadow Space Healing, or you can visit my website at shadowspacehealing.com. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today's show. And I am super excited to be back here, and I will be back with my next episode next week. So make sure to tune in, and I will find a way to upload that self-discovery show for you guys, because I have promised, and I will not let you guys down, because I'm not coming back here with another apology next week. Not happening. Okay? All right. So have a fantastic weekend, and I will see you guys on my next show. Bye.